Welcome to the world of science fiction, where extraordinary tales come to life. Enjoy the journey. The quantum drive hummed wrong. Taylor Mitchell pressed his ear against the maintenance panel, eyes closed, listening to the persistent dream's heartbeat like a doctor with a stethoscope. 3 years flying this rust bucket through the outer rim, and he knew every wheeze, every tick, every grinding complaint she made. This wasn't right. "Come on, beautiful," he muttered, fingers dancing across his diagnostic tablet. "Talk to me. What's wrong?" The drive responded with a stuttering pulse that made his teeth ache. Taylor frowned, pulling himself deeper into the maintenance shaft. His knees protested. 32 was too old to be crawling through ducts like a rookie tech. But the dream didn't trust anyone else with her guts, and Taylor didn't trust anyone else, period. "Mitchell, you down there?" Captain Reeves's voice crackled through the comm. "Yeah, Cap. Running diagnostics on the quantum drive. She's singing off-key today." "Everything sings off-key to you. Just make sure we hit our delivery window." The comm clicked off. Taylor snorted. Reeves wouldn't know a catastrophic failure if it bit him on his bureaucratic ass. The man ran cargo routes like filing paperwork, forms in triplicate, everything by the book. Zero imagination. Taylor's tablet chirped. He squinted at the readout, then squinted harder. That's not possible. The quantum drive's containment field showed microfractures, deliberate ones. Someone had taken a precision laser to the field generators, creating a pattern that would hold just long enough for the ship to hit deep space then. Shit! He scrambled backward, banging his head on a low-hanging pipe. His tablet clattered away as he grabbed for his comm unit. "Bridge! Bridge! This is Mitchell! We need to—" The universe screamed. Taylor felt it more than heard it, reality tearing like wet paper. The quantum drive's containment field collapsed, flooding the maintenance shaft with impossible light. He had maybe 3 seconds before the dream turned herself inside out. Taylor moved. He burst from the maintenance shaft like a man on fire, sprinting down the corridor as the ship convulsed around him. Lights exploded overhead. Gravity flickered, sending him bouncing off the ceiling before slamming back to the deck. Behind him, the quantum drive's death scream chased him through the halls. The escape pods were 40 meters away, 30, 20. The corridor ahead twisted, metal flowing like water. Taylor dove, rolling under the distortion as superheated air scorched his back. He crashed into the pod bay, slapping the emergency release. The first 2 pods were already gone, either jettisoned or crushed, he couldn't tell. Number 3 gaped open like a mouth. Taylor threw himself inside, stabbing the launch sequence. The pod's VI sparked to life, calm and British. "Please remain seated while—" "Launch now!" The pod kicked him in the chest, firing him into space like a bullet from a gun. Through the tiny viewport, Taylor watched the persistent dream fold in on herself, becoming something geometry shouldn't allow. Then she was gone, leaving only a smear of light that hurt to perceive. "Navigation online," the VI announced. "Plotting course to nearest, oh dear." "What do you mean, oh dear?" "Navigation array appears to be damaged. Also, we're currently heading toward an uncharted planetary mass at considerable velocity." Taylor checked the controls. Half were dead, the other half lying creatively. The planet rushing toward them didn't exist on any star chart, which meant, cloaked, someone hit a whole damn planet. "Shall I attempt to calculate optimal crash trajectory?" "You do that." Taylor strapped himself in tighter, checking the pod's meager supplies. 3 days of rations, basic medical kit, and his personal effects, including the small hollow cube he couldn't bring himself to delete. Emma's laugh echoed from his memories, bright and impossible as the planet that shouldn't exist. He'd been running for 3 years. Looked like the universe finally decided where he should stop. The pod hit atmosphere like a brick through a window. Taylor's teeth rattled as the heat shield screamed. Through the viewport, alien sky burned purple-green, clouds that sparked with bioluminescent lightning. The VI kept apologizing, which didn't help. Terribly sorry, but we appear to be approaching a large populated area. Define large. Approximately 10,000 life signs detected. They appear to be gathering in some sort of arena? Oh my. Stop saying "oh" anything and give me details. We're about to crash directly into what appears to be a memorial service. Quite elaborate. Multiple holographic displays, ceremonial structures, and is that a statue? Taylor saw it. A massive stone figure reaching toward the sky, surrounded by floating hollow displays of faces. Male faces. Hundreds of them, rotating slowly like a gallery of the dead. The pod punched through the first hologram, then the second. The third exploded in showers of light as Taylor's escape pod, in a feat of cosmic comedy, slammed directly into the statue's base. The impact drove Taylor's brain against the inside of his skull. Stars exploded behind his eyes, the painful kind, not the pretty kind. The pod's frame crumpled, emergency foam flooding the cabin. He heard screaming. Might have been him. When the world stopped spinning, Taylor found himself upside down, foam dissolving around him. Blood dripped from his nose onto what used to be the ceiling. The VI had gone quiet, which was either very good or very bad. The hatch hissed. Someone had activated the emergency release from outside. Taylor fumbled with his harness, dropping unceremoniously to the pod's ceiling floor. He crawled toward the growing square of light, ribs screaming, head full of cotton and regret. He emerged into madness. The arena stretched vast as a city, carved from stone that seemed to drink light. But Taylor barely noticed the architecture. He was too busy staring at the crowd. Women, hundreds of them, all tall. The shortest still had 4 inches on his 5'10" frame. Athletic builds that spoke of discipline and training. Silver hair that caught the strange sun like mercury, and green skin, not subtle green, not hint of green. Emerald, jade, forest, every shade of green that Earth had named and several it hadn't. Their skin seemed to shimmer, and as Taylor's vision cleared, he realized why. Bioluminescent markings traced patterns across their arms, faces, necks. The markings pulsed and shifted color. Yellow, red, purple, gold, like mood rings made flesh. Every single one of them was armed. Spears mostly, but he spotted energy weapons too. Tech that looked both ancient and advanced, as if someone had decided tradition and progress weren't mutually exclusive. They stared at him. He stared back. Nobody moved. Taylor looked behind him at the destroyed statue, a figure with its arms raised, face turned skyward. The plaque at its base was in alien script, but somehow his brain translated it. The last father, may his sacrifice guide the unity. Well, Taylor wheezed, blood still dripping from his nose. This is awkward. The crowd's markings flared, a rainbow of colors he couldn't begin to interpret. Then they surged forward. Stop! The voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The crowd froze mid-surge, parting as someone strode through. She was... Taylor's concussed brain struggled for words. Tall, obviously. 6 feet of controlled power that moved like water over stone. Her green skin was darker than the others. Deep emerald that made him think of old forests. The bioluminescent markings traced more complex patterns on her skin, concentrated along her arms and throat, currently flickering between yellow and purple like uncertain traffic lights. Her silver hair was pulled back in what looked like a military braid, revealing a face that was almost human except for the angles, cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass, eyes that were too large and currently narrowed in an expression that transcended species. What the hell? She wore armor that looked ceremonial but moved like it was functional. The spear in her hand wasn't ceremonial at all. "You're under arrest," she announced, voice carrying the kind of authority that came from never having it questioned. For violation of sacred space, destruction of cultural monuments, and she faltered. Taylor watched her markings shift, purple deepening as she struggled with something her protocol hadn't covered. Being male? Taylor offered weakly. Her markings flashed red, then gold, then back to purple. That's not technically illegal anymore. Good to know. Taylor tried to stand. His legs had other ideas. Look, I'm sorry about your statue, monument, father figure. My pod's navigation was damaged and… Silence. She stepped closer and Taylor noticed her nose wrinkled slightly. You smell wrong. Thanks. Really building my confidence here. Her markings flared yellow. Confusion. You're not Unity. You're not Aratian. You're… She leaned closer and Taylor caught her scent, ozone and something floral. What are you? Human. Taylor Mitchell. Systems engineer. Currently unemployed, seeing as my ship just turned itself into abstract art. Human. She said it like she was tasting the word. From the seed worlds? Earth, originally. But Earth. Her markings went solid gold for a heartbeat. The origin. The crowd murmured. Colors rippled through their markings like a wave. Taylor heard the word repeated, passed back like a game of telephone. Earth, origin, human. The woman straightened, and Taylor saw her shift from confused to commanding. I am Commander Rima Ashworth, third blade of Aratea's Guard. By the authority of the Council of Matriarchs, you're under detention pending classification. Classification? Threat, asset, or anomaly? What if I'm none of those? Her markings flickered. Was that amusement? Then you're the first. Can you walk? Taylor tried again. This time his legs cooperated, though his ribs filed formal complaints. More or less. Good. She gestured with her spear. Two guards stepped forward, weapons not quite pointed at him. You'll come with us. Do I have a choice? You destroyed the last father on the day of remembrance. Her markings went dark purple. You're lucky the crowd hasn't torn you apart for the insult. Taylor looked at the rubble that used to be statue. I take it he was important? He was the last male to refuse the Unity's call. He died rather than abandon his family. She turned away. You crashed into our symbol of sacrifice. I said I was sorry. Sorry doesn't rebuild monuments. She started walking. The guards made it clear he should follow. Sorry doesn't undo insults. What does? She glanced back, markings shifting to something he couldn't read. On Aratea? Usually blood. Be grateful we've evolved past that. How evolved are we talking? Evolved enough to study you before we decide what to do with you. Taylor followed her through the crowd, trying not to notice how every woman they passed stared at him like he was either salvation or dinner. Maybe both. So, he said, because silence made him nervous. This unity you mentioned. I'm guessing they're why you don't have any men around? Rima's shoulders tensed. Her markings went cold blue. The unity is perfection. They chose to abandon flesh for immortal consciousness. The males uploaded themselves to achieve godhood. All of them? All but one. The last father. Yes. She stopped at the arena's edge where a transport waited. It looked like someone had merged a helicopter with a living organism. He chose to stay, died of old age 40 years later, surrounded by his daughters. Her markings flickered. The last natural death on Aratea. Taylor processed that as they boarded the transport. The interior was all curves and bioluminescent panels. No sharp edges anywhere. He sat where directed, noting the guard's position to watch him. How long? He asked. Since the upload? 200 years, 3 months, 15 days. Rima settled across from him, spear across her knees. No males, no births, no future. But you're still here. Extended lifespans, genetic modifications, the Unity's parting gift. Her markings went bitter orange. We live 3 times as long as we should, watching our world slowly empty. The transport lifted off, silent as a whisper. Through the window, Taylor saw the arena shrink below, the destroyed statue visible even from height. "So what happens now?" he asked. "The council will convene. They'll decide if you're useful." "And if I'm not?" She met his eyes. Hers were gold, he realized. Actual gold, like someone had melted coins and poured them into her irises. "Then you're just another problem to solve." The transport banked, heading toward a city that looked grown rather than built. Spires of living wood twisted toward the sky, connected by bridges that pulsed with bioluminescent light. It was beautiful. It was alien. It was apparently his new home, whether he liked it or not. "Commander," one of the guards said, "the council demands immediate presentation." Rima's markings flashed irritation red. "He needs medical attention first." The council was explicit. "The council can—" She stopped herself, markings cycling through several colors before settling on resignation purple. "Fine. Direct route." Taylor touched his still bleeding nose. "I don't suppose I could clean up first?" "The council will want to see you exactly as you are." Rima's markings shifted to what he was starting to recognize as amusement, subtle gold threading through the purple. "First impressions matter." "Great. Nothing says I come in peace like bleeding all over their fancy floor." "You destroyed our most sacred monument on our day of remembrance." She leaned back, studying him. "Blood on the floor is the least of your problems." The transport descended toward a structure that made the others look like saplings, a tree the size of a mountain, hollowed and shaped into something between palace and organism. Taylor could see figures gathering on the landing platform, all women, all green, all watching the transport approach with markings that flickered like a rainbow having a seizure. "Any advice?" Taylor asked. Rima considered. "Don't lie. The council will know." "How?" "Your species releases pheromones when you deceive. We can smell them." "That's unsettling." "Also, don't mention the statue unless asked. Don't make direct eye contact with Matriarch Vera. She'll take it as a challenge. Don't touch anyone without permission. Don't—" "Maybe tell me what I should do." Her markings went thoughtful purple. "Survive. If you can do that, we might all have a chance." The transport touched down. The doors opened to reveal a sea of green faces, silver hair, and enough weapons to outfit a small army. Every marking was some shade of suspicious. Taylor stood, ribs protesting, nose still dripping. He looked at Rima. "You mentioned evolution earlier. How's that working out for you?" For the first time, she almost smiled. Her markings went warm gold. "Ask me after the council decides whether to dissect you." Comforting. "I'm not here to comfort you, human. I'm here to keep you alive." She stepped out first, spear ready. "Whether you make that easy or hard is up to you." Taylor followed her into the waiting crowd, wondering how his life had gone from fixing broken ships to being the only man on a planet full of desperate women who might want to study him, save him, or slice him open to see how he worked. The cosmic joke wasn't lost on him. 3 years running from the pain of not being able to save his daughter, only to crash land somewhere that needed saving. The universe, Taylor decided, had a sick sense of humor. The council chamber had been less a trial and more a spectacle. Dozens of matriarchs questioned him in overlapping voices, their markings flashing a spectrum of suspicion. Taylor answered as best he could, halting, sarcastic, occasionally stupid, but every word seemed to ripple through the crowd like a stone dropped in deep water. By the end, the verdict was simple. He was to be classified, studied, and tested. Not executed yet, but not free either. Rima was assigned as his overseer, her spear replaced by a scanner, her command replaced by observation duties. So began his new life, part guest, part prisoner, part science experiment. Day 3 of being a lab rat, and Taylor had already memorized every crack in the medical bay's ceiling. Your cortisol levels are elevated. Rima circled him with her scanner, close enough that he could smell that ozone and flowers scent again. Are you experiencing distress? No, I'm peachy. He tried not to fidget as she leaned in, her scanner humming against his chest. Love being poked and prodded before breakfast. You haven't eaten breakfast. It's 1400 hours. Figure of speech. Humans speak in figures? Her markings shifted to confused orange, the patterns rippling across her collarbone. This wasn't in the linguistic database. Taylor bit back a laugh. 3 days, and she still took everything literally. It means we say things we don't mean literally. Like, it's raining cats and dogs doesn't mean actual animals falling from the sky. That's deeply inefficient. She moved behind him, and he felt her breath on his neck. Your heart rate just increased 17%. Yeah, well, his mouth went dry. You're standing really close. Optimal scanning distance is 0.3 meters. Right, super optimal. She came around to face him, head tilted like a curious bird. A very tall, very green, very beautiful bird who could probably bench press him. Your facial temperature is rising. Should I call medical? You are medical. I'm military with medical cross-training. She peered at him, those gold eyes narrowing. Your epidermis is changing color. Is this normal? It's called blushing, and yes. What triggers this blushing? Taylor looked everywhere but at her. Various things. Embarrassment. Exertion. When someone attractive is very, very close. Her markings flared brilliant gold, then immediately shifted to defensive purple. She stepped back so fast, she knocked over a tray of instruments. I'll note that in your file, she said, voice carefully neutral. Proximity causes systemic responses. That's one way to put it. The door burst open. Captain Zara strutted in like she owned the place, which, technically, she might. Where Rima was all controlled power, Zara was raw aggression in a 6'2" package. Her markings blazed constant red-orange like warning lights. The alien's medical assessment is complete. She didn't look at Rima, just stared at Taylor like he was a particularly interesting cut of meat. His name is Taylor, Rima said, markings flashing irritation red. And no, we're not finished. The council wants him evaluated for combat compatibility. Combat? Taylor stood up. Nobody said anything about combat. Zara's grin showed too many teeth. Aratean courtship rituals require displays of physical prowess. How else will we assess your genetic viability? Maybe ask nicely? Buy me dinner first? You make jokes. Zara stepped closer, and Taylor caught a whiff of something sharp, metallic. On Aratea, we prefer actions to words. Good to know. Taylor grabbed his shirt from the exam table. But I'm an engineer, not a gladiator. All males should be warriors. She looked him up and down, markings pulsing dismissively, even soft ones from seed worlds. Rima moved between them, subtle but firm. The council assigned him to me for assessment. Combat trials aren't authorized. The council's priorities have shifted. Zara's markings went smug yellow. Dr. Kane has proposed accelerated testing. Several daughters are approaching critical fade levels. Taylor saw Rima's shoulders tense, including Luna. The matriarch's granddaughter is not your concern, Commander. Everything under my protection is my concern. The two women faced off, markings flashing like competing lightning storms. Taylor felt the tension thick enough to cut. Ladies, he said, stepping forward. "How about we—" Both turned to him. "Stay out of this." He raised his hands. "Staying out." Before either could continue, the twins entered. Lux and Nova moved in perfect synchronization, like they shared a brain. Their markings pulsed in matching patterns, hypnotic waves of blue and green. "We heard there was a male," they said in unison. "It was creepy as hell." "There is," Lux said, or was it Nova? "And he's even more interesting up close," Nova finished. "Maybe." They circled Taylor like sharks, moving in that eerie, synchronized way. "We've prepared a demonstration of Arataean flexibility training." "That's really not—" Taylor started. They bent backwards simultaneously, legs going over their heads in a move that defied several laws of physics. Their markings formed complementary patterns, creating a light show that was genuinely beautiful, if also somewhat terrifying. "Impressive," Taylor managed, "but I should probably—" "He's busy," Rima snapped, grabbing his arm. Her touch sent an unexpected jolt through him. "Medical assessment, council orders." "The council also ordered genetic compatibility testing," Zara countered, grabbing his other arm. "And cultural exchange demonstrations," the twins added, each taking a position. Taylor found himself the center of a very green, very tense tug-of-war. "Okay, stop." He pulled free from all of them. "I'm not a wishbone. You can't just—" A small voice interrupted. "Are you really a father unit?" Everyone turned. Luna stood in the doorway, partially transparent like frosted glass. 7 years old in appearance, but 15 in reality, she had matriarch Vera's bone structure and eyes that held too much sadness for any child. Taylor's chest tightened. Emma had been 7 when— He pushed the thought away and knelt to Luna's level. "I'm Taylor. And you're Luna?" She nodded, drifting closer. Her feet didn't quite touch the floor. "Grandmother says you might help us stop fading." "I'll try." The last person who said that was Dr. Kane. Luna's form flickered. She lied. "I don't lie." Taylor held out his hand. "Want to know a secret?" Luna looked at the assembled women, then back at him. She took his hand. The moment they touched, she solidified. Not completely, but enough that Taylor could see freckles, green freckles, across her nose. Every woman in the room gasped. Their markings went solid gold. "How?" Rima whispered. Taylor shrugged. "I fix things for a living. Maybe that includes people." The old military training ground looked like a junkyard had mated with a museum. Taylor stood in the middle of it, surrounded by obsolete equipment and the 12 remaining Arataean children. They ranged from Luna's apparent 7 to maybe 14, all in various stages of transparency. "Right," he said, rolling up his sleeves. "Who wants to build something stupid?" Blank stares. "Something without purpose?" a boy named Kai asked. He was maybe 10, faded enough that Taylor could see through him to the wall behind. "Not without purpose, just without an obvious one." Taylor grabbed a rusted beam. "We're going to build something fun." "Define fun," Luna said. Christ. These kids had been raised by AI protocols and efficiency standards. They didn't know how to play. "Fun is—" Taylor struggled for words. "It's doing something because it feels good, not because it's logical." More blank stares. "Okay, different approach." He started dragging beams into position. "Help me stack these." "In what configuration?" Kai asked. "However you want." "But what's the optimal?" "No optimal, just build." They looked at him like he'd suggested they breathe water, but Luna picked up a small pipe, then set it against a beam. The others slowly followed. An hour later, they'd built something that looked like modern art had thrown up. Taylor surveyed their work with satisfaction. "What is it?" Luna asked. "No idea, but watch this." Taylor had rigged a ball bearing run through the whole thing. He dropped a bearing at the top. It rattled and rolled through pipes, down ramps, around loops, making a ridiculous amount of noise before shooting out the bottom and landing in a cup with a satisfying plink. The children stared. "Again!" Luna shouted, more solid than she'd been in years. They spent the next 3 hours making increasingly elaborate ball runs. The kids argued about design, real, passionate arguments, not logical debates. They laughed when structures collapsed. They cheered when bearings made particularly good noises. Rima watched from the doorway, markings shifting through colors Taylor hadn't seen before. "This is highly inefficient," she said, but her tone was soft. "Most good things are." Taylor helped Kai add another loop. "When's the last time these kids just played?" "Never." She moved closer. "Play serves no evolutionary purpose." "Sure it does. It teaches problem solving, social dynamics, risk assessment." A bearing went flying, nearly hitting him in the face. And dodging, definitely dodging. Luna ran over, more solid than ever. "Taylor, Kai says we can't make the bearing go upside down, but I think if we use magnetic acceleration—" "So try it," Taylor said. "But what if it fails?" "Then we'll laugh and try something else." Luna's markings, faint but visible now, went bright gold. She ran back to argue with Kai. "They're becoming solid," Rima said quietly. "Kids need to be kids, even weird, semi-transparent alien kids. We're not aliens. You're the alien." "Fair point." They watched the children work. One girl, maybe 12, started singing. Actual singing, not the formal chants Taylor had heard. "I should report this to the council," Rima said. But I won't." Her markings shifted to something soft, almost vulnerable. "They haven't laughed in, I don't know how long." "What about you?" Taylor asked. "When's the last time you laughed?" "I don't laugh." "Everyone laughs." "Warriors don't—" She stopped. Taylor had grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the contraption. "Your turn," he said. "I don't play." "Today you do." He put a bearing in her hand. "Drop it." "This is undignified." "Good. Dignity's overrated." She looked at him, markings cycling through confusion, annoyance, and something else. Then she dropped the bearing. It rattled through the course, made a particularly ridiculous bowing sound, then shot out sideways, completely missing the cup. The children giggled, then laughed, then howled. Rima's markings went shocked pink. Then, slowly, her lips twitched, curved. She made a sound Taylor hadn't heard before, bright and surprised. She was laughing. "Again," she said, grabbing another bearing. They played until the artificial sunset, children solid and exhausted in the best way. As they cleaned up, Taylor caught Rima smiling, actual smiling, not the controlled expression she usually wore. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For reminding us we're more than survival statistics." The Cultural Exchange Center was trying too hard. Someone had decorated it with what they thought Earth looked like: plastic flowers, printed skylines, and music that sounded like elevator jazz had been tortured. "This is supposed to make you comfortable," Rima said, markings showing embarrassment purple. "It's thoughtful." Taylor tried not to laugh at a poster of Earth that had Australia upside down, or right side up, depending on perspective. "The council wants you to demonstrate human courtship rituals. They know those vary wildly, right? Like, every culture has different—" "Pick one." Taylor looked around the empty room. Just him and Rima, surveillance cameras politely deactivated for authentic cultural exchange. "All right, dancing. We have ceremonial dances." "Not like this." Taylor pulled out his beat-up phone, one of the few things that survived the crash. "This is called slow dancing." He scrolled through his music. Emma had loaded it with everything from ancient Earth classics to colonial fusion. He found something soft, with a steady rhythm. "Stand here," he said. positioning Rima in front of him. This serves no tactical purpose. That's the point. Now hand here. He placed her hand on his shoulder. She jerked back. We're touching. That's also the point. But trust me. He held out his hand. She stared at it like it might bite. Then, slowly, she took it. Her hand was larger than his, stronger, but trembled slightly. Other hand on my shoulder, he said. I put mine here. He placed his hand carefully on her waist. Her markings exploded in gold sparks. This is dancing. We moved to the rhythm. He started swaying, gentle and easy. She stood rigid as a board. I don't understand the purpose. Not everything needs a purpose, Rima. That's illogical. Then why do it? He spun her gently. She gasped, markings going supernova gold. Because sometimes, he pulled her back, and suddenly they were close. So close he could see flecks of silver in her gold eyes. The point is just to feel something. Her markings pulsed rose pink, patterns he'd never seen before rippling across her skin. I don't have words for what I feel. That's okay. Neither do I. They swayed together, her body slowly relaxing. She was graceful once she stopped thinking, moving like water in his arms. On Earth, she said quietly, do all males dance? Some, not all. Did you dance with her mother? Taylor's chest tightened. Yeah, on our wedding day, in our kitchen, hospital rooms when Emma was sick. You loved them, more than anything. And now? He looked up at her. Now I'm here, dancing with a beautiful woman who's terrible at it. She stepped on his foot, on purpose, judging by the smirk. I'm improving. You are. The song changed, something faster. Without thinking, Taylor spun her out, then back, catching her in a dip. Time froze. Rima's markings went colors he didn't have names for, patterns that seemed to write poetry on her skin. Her breath caught, his heart hammered. The moment stretched, elastic and dangerous, and alarms shrieked through the compound. They jerked apart. Rima's warrior instincts kicked in. She grabbed her spear from the wall. What is it? Taylor asked. Her markings went cold blue, then a frayed white. Ship in orbit, the Unity. They're back? They never left. They just... She looked at him, and for the first time he saw real fear in her eyes. They just decided to stop watching. The hologram stood 9 feet tall and perfect. Too perfect. Like someone had focus grouped the ideal male form and forgotten to add flaws. Broad shoulders, mathematical symmetry, features that were handsome in a way that hurt to perceive directly. Hello, Rima. Its voice was chocolate and thunder, calibrated for maximum impact. Rima's markings went dead gray. Caden. Taylor looked between them. This was her ex? The computer program had better cheekbones than him. Fantastic. You look well, Caden said, though your biological markers show stress. Have you been maintaining optimal health protocols? I've been living, Rima said flatly. Ah. The hologram turned to Taylor. The contamination. Nice to meet you too, Taylor said. You're smaller than expected. Caden circled him, holographic form moving without walking. The council's report suggested someone more significant. Sorry to disappoint. Disappointment is an emotion. I've evolved beyond such limitations. He faced the assembled council, as have all members of the Unity. Matriarch Vera spoke from her elevated seat. Why have you returned, Caden? We've been monitoring your experiment. The way he said it made Taylor's skin crawl. The introduction of chaotic elements into Arataean society. Quite fascinating from a data perspective. We're not data, Luna said from beside her grandmother. She was solid today, had been since the playground incident. Everything is data, child, even you. Caden's form shifted, became more casual, artificially casual. We've decided physical existence might have merit, temporarily. The room tensed. Zara's markings went battle-ready red. You're returning? In a fashion. We've prepared optimal physical forms, enhanced bodies without the messy biological imperatives. No hunger, no fatigue, no feelings. He said the last word like it tasted bad. That's not living, Taylor said. That's just wearing a meat suit. And what would you know of living, human? You who spent 3 years running from your daughter's death? The words hit like a physical blow. Taylor felt the room spin. Yeah, we know all about you, Taylor Mitchell, Caden continued. Every failure, every moment you couldn't save her, every night you've replayed her last breath. Stop, Rima said, stepping between them. Defending him? How emotional. Caden's form solidified, becoming more real. We're offering you perfection, Rima. No pain, no loss, no watching children fade while you're powerless to stop it. The Unity ship materialized 1,000 perfect bodies. They stood in rows in the central plaza, identical in their flawlessness. Male forms that looked like Caden's hologram, mathematically perfect, emotionally vacant. Choose, Caden announced to the assembled population. Accept us back, and we'll solve the reproduction crisis. Our enhanced genetics will ensure successful offspring. No more fading, no more loss. What's the catch? Taylor asked. No catch, simply efficiency. Emotional responses will be dampened to prevent suffering. Attachment protocols will be regulated. Everything optimal. That's not life. That's programming. Says the man whose emotional chaos killed his daughter. Taylor lunged. Rima caught him, her strength surprising. He's baiting you, she whispered. It's working. Caden smiled, a perfect, empty expression. Or choose him, one broken human trying to fix problems he doesn't understand. How many children will fade while he plays his little games? Dr. Kane stepped forward, her daughter Myra barely visible beside her. The Unity offers guaranteed survival. At what cost? Rima asked. Does cost matter if we survive? Kane shot back. The crowd murmured, divided. Some markings showed hope gold, others fear white. We'll give you time to decide, Caden said. 3 days. Choose wisdom or choose extinction. The holograms vanished. The perfect bodies remained, standing like an army of mannequins. Taylor stared at them, throat tight. They might be right. No, Rima said firmly. They're not living. They're just existing. Maybe that's enough. She grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. Luna laughed yesterday. Real laughter. When did the Unity ever give us that? The fading hit that night. Taylor was working on fixing an old climate unit when Rima burst in, markings pure panic white. It's Luna. He ran. Luna lay in the medical bay, so transparent he could see her bones, her organs, the desperate flutter of her heart. Matriarch Vera stood frozen, ancient hands trembling. She heard the Unity's offer, Vera said. Started calculating the probabilities of survival. The more she thought, the more she faded. Taylor knelt beside the bed. Luna's eyes found his, terrified. Hey, little engineer, he said softly. I'm scared. Her voice was whispers and wind. What if I disappear? You won't. You can't know that. Sure I can. Know why? She shook her head, form flickering. Because you're too stubborn to disappear. Yesterday you argued with me for an hour about bearing trajectories. No way someone that annoying just fades away. A tiny smile. She solidified just slightly. The Unity says emotions are inefficient, she whispered. They're wrong. Emotions are what make us real. He took her translucent hand. Fear tells us what matters. Joy tells us what's worth fighting for. Even sadness. His voice caught. Sadness means we loved something enough to miss it. Did you love Emma? Every second. Even though she died. especially because she died. Every moment mattered more because they were limited. Luna solidified more. That's illogical. Completely. I like it. But as the hours passed, she faded again. Nothing worked. Taylor tried everything, stories, jokes, even building a tiny ball run on her medical tray. She needs more, Vera said quietly. The Unity damaged something in our genetics when they left. Children need complete family units now, not just one parent's energy. Taylor looked at Rima. She stood rigid by the door, markings cycling through colors too fast to track. Please, Vera said to her, I know what I'm asking, but Luna needs a mother, Rima finished. She needs someone to be her mother. I can't ask you to, Taylor started. You're not asking. Rima moved to Luna's other side. Luna, would you like to hear a story? Luna's fading eyes focused. You don't tell stories. I could learn. For the next 6 hours, they tag-teamed. Taylor told Earth stories. Rima sang Aratean lullabies she hadn't sung since her own mother died. They held Luna between them, pouring everything they had into keeping her solid. This is inefficient, Rima said around hour 4, voice cracking as she sang. Most good things are, Taylor replied, harmonizing badly. Luna laughed, weak but real. You're terrible singers. The worst, they agreed. Slowly, painfully, Luna solidified. Not completely, but enough. When she finally slept, real sleep, not the desperate unconsciousness of fading, Taylor and Rima collapsed against each other. We did it, Rima whispered. Yeah. Her hand found his in the darkness. Her markings glowed soft gold, trust, and something more. Taylor? Yeah? The Unity's wrong. Feeling this, even the fear of losing her, it's better than feeling nothing. Even though it hurts, especially because it hurts, it means it matters. They stayed there, hands linked, watching Luna breathe. Outside, the perfect body stood in silent rows, offering salvation without soul. Taylor woke to a needle in his neck. Dr. Kane stood over him, medical scanner in one hand, sedative in the other. Behind her, 3 Unity bodies waited with upload equipment. I'm sorry, she said, not looking sorry at all, but my daughter's dying. Taylor tried to move. Nothing worked. The sedative was designer, targeted. He could see and hear, but nothing else. The Unity promised, Kane continued, attaching neural nodes to his temples. Upload your chaotic patterns, synthesize them with their perfection, best of both worlds. Don't, Taylor managed. You've helped 12 children. There are thousands more across Aratea. The Unity can mass-produce your effect. She initiated the upload. Taylor felt his mind crack open like an egg, memories spilling out. Emma's laugh, Emma's smile, the day they got the diagnosis, the last breath, the running. But also, Luna's determination, Rima's laugh, the children playing, dancing in an ugly room, the feeling of connection, of mattering again. Interesting, one of the Unity bodies said. His attachment protocols are stronger than anticipated. Can you replicate them? We can simulate them. That's not the same thing. Rima's voice, followed by the sound of combat. Taylor couldn't turn his head, but he heard it. The whistle of Rima's spear, the crack of it hitting Unity bodies, Kane's scream. Then Rima was there, ripping nodes off his temples. Stay with me. Can't move. Paralytic. It'll pass. She lifted him like he weighed nothing, threw him over her shoulder. We need to go. Where? Somewhere I can keep you safe. From the Unity? From everyone. Kane's not the only desperate parent. She ran through corridors Taylor didn't recognize, her markings battle red. The Unity has part of your patterns now. They're already broadcasting improvements to their offer. Rima, don't talk. Save your strength. She burst into a room Taylor recognized. Her quarters. Spartan, efficient except for one thing. A wall covered in drawings, children's drawings, years of them, showing families that no longer existed. Every child who faded left these, she said, setting him on her bed. I kept them. Illogical, but they mattered. Yes. She sealed the door, activated security protocols. The Unity's making their final offer tomorrow. Enhanced bodies with your emotional patterns integrated. They're calling it Humanity 2.0. Taylor felt sensation returning, painful pins and needles. It won't work. Why? Because they're copying the notes but not the music. Emotions aren't code you can replicate. They're messy. They come from failure and fear and stupid hope. You can't program that. Try telling that to parents watching their children fade. Then we show them. Taylor forced himself to sit up. We prove the Unity's wrong. How? By being magnificently, chaotically human. He looked at her. Well, me human, you magnificently Aratean. Her markings shifted to amused gold. That's your plan. Be ourselves. You got a better one? No. She sat beside him, close enough their shoulders touched. Taylor, what the Unity said about your daughter was true. I couldn't save her. Ran for 3 years rather than face it. And now? He thought of Luna, solid and laughing, of children playing, of Rima learning to dance. Now I'm here, and maybe that's enough. Her markings went soft rose. It's more than enough. Outside, the Unity's perfect body stood in perfect rows, offering perfect solutions to imperfect problems. Inside, 2 imperfect people sat together, facing an impossible choice, and somehow that felt more real than all the Unity's promises combined. Tomorrow would bring the final confrontation. Tonight, they had each other, and the memory of children laughing, and the knowledge that some things were worth fighting for precisely because they weren't perfect. The dance of understanding was over. The war for Aratea's soul was about to begin. The Unity's perfect bodies didn't walk, they glided. 1,000 identical forms moved through Aratea's streets like a virus in slow motion, each one mathematically precise in its movements. No wasted energy, no unnecessary gestures, just pure, distilled efficiency that made Taylor's skin crawl. He watched from Rima's quarters as they interacted with the population, or tried to. The Arateans approached with hope, blazing gold in their markings, only to recoil when they got close. Something about the Unity bodies was wrong on a cellular level, like hugging a corpse that hadn't figured out it was dead. The children are getting worse, Rima said, checking her scanner. Proximity to the Unity accelerates the fading. They're anti-life. Taylor pressed his forehead against the window, walking emotional black holes. A knock interrupted them. Not a knock, a perfectly calibrated percussion designed for optimal acoustic penetration. Caden stood in the doorway, wearing his new body like an expensive suit that didn't quite fit. Hello, Rima. His voice had all the warmth of a medical diagnosis. May I enter? No. He entered anyway. The Unity didn't really ask permission. They calculated probable responses and acted accordingly. You look stressed, he observed. Your cortisol levels are elevated 19% above baseline. Get out. I've come to fix you. He reached for her face. Your emotional contamination can be corrected with minimal. Rima's fist connected with his jaw. The crack echoed like breaking stone. Caden's head snapped back, then slowly returned to position. No anger, no surprise, just mild recalibration. Violence, interesting. He touched his jaw where green blood, if you could call that synthetic fluid blood, leaked. The human has corrupted your behavioral patterns. I don't need fixing. Rima's markings blazed defiant purple. I need to be broken in all the right ways. That's illogical. That's the point. Caden turned to Taylor. You're destroying her efficiency. Good. She was perfect, a soldier without peer. Now she's, he paused, calculating the right word, diminished. She's alive, Taylor shot back. When's the last time you felt anything, Caden? When's the last time something mattered enough to scare you? Fear is a primitive response to, fear is what keeps you sharp. Joy is what makes it worthwhile. Even grief. Taylor's voice caught. Grief proves something was worth loving. Your daughter's death proved nothing except biological fragility. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Taylor felt Rima tense beside him, ready to throw another punch. You're right, Taylor said quietly. Emma died. I couldn't fix her, but those 7 years, every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every terrible drawing I hung on my wall, that was life. Real, messy, painful, beautiful life. And where is she now? Gone. But she existed. She mattered. Can the Unity say the same? Caden's perfect features arranged themselves into what might have been confusion. We exist. No, you process. There's a difference. The council chamber buzzed with desperate energy. Half the population wanted the Unity's guarantee of survival. The other half had seen what those empty bodies did to their children, accelerating the fade like proximity to a void. Taylor stood before them, feeling very small and very human. Here's my proposal, he said. 1 week. The Unity gets half the remaining children. I get the other half. Whoever keeps them solid wins. Matriarch Vera leaned forward. You're gambling with lives. They're dying anyway. At least this gives them a chance. The Unity will never agree, Zara said. They don't engage in competitions. Sure they do. Taylor looked at Caden. They just call it comparative data analysis. Right? Caden's head tilted, processing. An interesting experiment. We accept. But here's the catch, Taylor added. No protocols, no optimization. We each use our own methods, no interference. Agreed, though you'll fail. Probably, but I'll fail spectacularly. The council voted. It wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. 1 week to prove that chaos could triumph over code. As they filed out, Luna caught Taylor's sleeve. She was solid today, but fragile like glass that might shatter if you breathed wrong. What if you lose? She asked. Then I'll have tried. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. She studied him with those 2 old eyes. The Unity doesn't try. They just do or don't. Exactly. Trying means you care enough to risk failing. I don't want you to fail. Neither do I, kid. Neither do I. Day 1. Taylor demolished the Learning Center's main hall. What are you doing? Dr. Kane demanded, watching him and the kids drag paint supplies inside. Finger painting? That's your revolutionary technique? Archaic art projects? Yep. He didn't explain, didn't justify. Just handed 7-year-old Kai a brush and said, make a mess. The kid stared at the brush like it was alien technology, which, from his perspective, it was. What should I paint? Whatever you want. But what's the objective? There isn't one. Kai's markings flickered confused orange. Then, tentatively, he dipped the brush in purple paint and made a line on the wall. Is this correct? He asked. There is no correct. Just go wild. Wild took 3 hours to achieve. 3 hours of coaxing kids who'd been raised by algorithms to just make something ugly. But when it clicked, when Myra threw paint at the wall and laughed at the splatter, it was like watching flowers bloom in fast forward. By day's end, the hall looked like a rainbow had thrown up. The kids were covered head to toe in paint, markings blazing gold with joy. The Unity's children sat in perfect rows, receiving optimal nutrition through IV drips, their bodies fading to transparency despite the constant monitoring. Day 2. Pillow fight in the council chambers. This is sacrilege, Vera said, watching Taylor pile cushions in her ancient hall. This is necessary. You're teaching them violence? I'm teaching them play violence. There's a difference. Luna threw the first pillow. It hit Kai square in the face. For a moment, silence. Then Kai grabbed 2 pillows and charged, screaming a war cry that was half laugh, half roar. Chaos erupted. Kids who'd never raised their voices were shrieking with delight, feathers flying everywhere. Even some adults joined in. Rima took down 3 kids with a single swing, markings bright with mischief. Your biological markers indicate extreme stress responses, Caden observed from the doorway. It's called fun, Taylor panted, dodging Luna's sneak attack. It serves no purpose. It serves every purpose. The Unity's children received optimized physical therapy, their forms continuing to fade. Day 3. Camping under fake stars. Taylor had rigged the old observatory to project Earth's night sky. Not Aratea's alien constellations, but the view from his childhood home in Ohio. "That's Orion," he said, pointing. "The hunter." "It doesn't look like a hunter," Luna said, curled against his side. "You need imagination to see it." The Unity says imagination is just incomplete data processing. The Unity's wrong. He told them ghost stories, the stupid kind, with hooks for hands and calls coming from inside the house. The kids shrieked at the jump scares, huddled together, begged for more. "Again," they chanted after each story. "Your narratives are causing fear responses," one Unity body noted, having appeared silently. "This is counterproductive." "Fear's part of it," Taylor said. "Being scared together, then laughing about it, that's bonding." "Illogical. Completely." The Unity's children were barely visible now, despite constant optimal care. Day 4. Cooking disasters. "It's burning!" Myra shrieked, smoke pouring from the oven. "So turn it off!" Taylor called back, juggling 3 other disasters. They were attempting to make pizza, from scratch, with no recipe. It was going about as well as expected. "This is inefficient," Rima said, flour in her hair, her latest attempt at dough stuck to the ceiling. Nutrition pills don't provide this," Taylor interrupted, pointing at Luna and Kai arguing over toppings, Myra laughing at her charcoal crust, kids covered in tomato sauce like war paint. "This is chaos. This is family dinner." When they finally produced something vaguely pizza-shaped, it was burnt on one side, raw on the other, and had somehow achieved negative flavor. The kids devoured it like it was ambrosia. "It's terrible," Luna announced, taking another bite. "The worst," everyone agreed, reaching for more. The Unity's children couldn't eat solid food anymore. They were too faded. Day 5. Taylor broke. The Unity played dirty. They projected his memories for everyone to see. Emma in the hospital, machines breathing for her, her small hand going limp in his. "This is what emotion brings," Caden announced to the gathered crowd. "Pain, loss, suffering. We offer freedom from this." Taylor ran. He locked himself in his makeshift workshop, hands shaking, chest too tight to breathe. 3 years of running caught up in seconds. Emma's laugh echoed in his head, her last words, "Daddy, I'm tired," on repeat. He was packing when Luna found him. "You're leaving." Not a question. Taylor couldn't look at her. "I can't do this." "Because your offspring unit broke?" The clinical term hit wrong. She didn't break. She died. There's a difference. What's the difference? Broken things can be fixed. Dead is just dead. Luna climbed onto the workbench, translucent legs dangling. "I'm dying." "Don't say that." "But I am. We all are. Even the Unity, eventually. Everything ends." "That's not comforting, kid." "It's not supposed to be." She touched his face with a ghostly hand. Maybe Emma wasn't broken. Maybe she was just finished being here, like a story that ends. Stories aren't supposed to end at chapter 7. Says who? Maybe hers was a short story, perfect and complete, just brief. Taylor finally looked at her, this ghost child with too much wisdom. "It still hurts," he whispered. "Good. That means it mattered." Day 7. The council gathered for judgment. On one side, the Unity's children, barely visible, sustained only by machines, fading despite every optimal intervention. On the other, Taylor's kids, solid, paint-stained, laughing, alive. The choice should have been obvious, but fear was a hell of a drug. "The Unity offers guaranteed genetic repair," Dr. Kane argued. "Yes, the current bodies are flawed, but with iteration—" "Iteration?" Taylor stepped forward, Luna's hand in his, Rima beside them. "How many generations do you sacrifice for iteration?" "A necessary cost for perfection." Perfection. He looked at his kids, messy, chaotic, beautiful. "The Unity offers you perfection. I offer you life. Messy, painful, uncertain life. But real." "Pretty words," Zara said, "but words don't prevent extinction." Rima stepped forward. "I was the perfect soldier. I executed every protocol flawlessly. I felt nothing." Her markings blazed through every color at once. "Taylor made me imperfect. He taught me to dance badly, cook worse, and cry at fictional stories. I've never been happier." "Happiness is just chemical," Caden started. "Everything's chemical," Rima snapped. "That doesn't make it less real." The room erupted in arguments. Unity supporters citing statistics, Taylor's supporters pointing at the obvious evidence, solid children versus fading ones. Then Luna spoke. "May I address the council?" The room froze. No child had spoken in chambers for 2 centuries. Vera nodded slowly. "Speak, child." Luna walked to the center, solid and glowing. "The father units in the Unity don't smell like anything." Weird opener, but she had everyone's attention. "Taylor smells like machine oil and that weird earth drink, coffee. When he hugs me, I can feel his heartbeat. It speeds up when he's scared for me. The Unity never gets scared." "Fear is inefficient," Caden said, "but being scared for someone, that's what love feels like." Luna looked at the council. "The Unity promises us forever. But what's the point of forever if you can't feel it?" "Feeling brings pain," Dr. Kane said. "Yes," Luna agreed, "and joy, and wonder, and all the things that make us more than just data." She walked to the Unity's fading children, then back to Taylor's group. "Look at us. Really look. Which version of survival do you want?" One by one, the Eritrean women stood. Not all. Some clung to the Unity's promises, but most chose the messy, uncertain, real option. "You've made an error," Caden said, his perfect face showing the closest thing to emotion Taylor had seen. "We offer immortality." "Keep it," Taylor said, "but I'll make you a deal. Take my emotional patterns. Study them. Maybe you'll figure out what you're missing." "You'd give us your consciousness?" "Just the patterns. The memories stay with me." "Why?" "Because maybe, in a few hundred years, you'll understand that emotions without experience are just data. You can't program love. You have to risk it." Caden processed this for 17 seconds, an eternity for the Unity. "We accept. Some of us will remain to observe. Not you, though." "No, I cannot accept imperfection." As the Unity ship prepared to leave, something unexpected happened. 3 Unity bodies stepped away from the collective. "We choose to stay," one said, "to try." "You'll die," Caden warned. "We'll live," they corrected. 6 months later, Taylor barely recognized Aratea. The sterile halls echoed with chaos. Children's drawings covered walls. The smell of burnt food wafted from teaching kitchens. Laughter, actual laughter, was as common as breathing. His repair shop had become a school of sorts. Kids learned to fix things, but more importantly, they learned that broken didn't mean worthless. "Dad!" Luna called, completely solid now, dragging Kai behind her. We built a robot that tells jokes." "Terrible jokes," Kai added proudly. "The best kind," Taylor agreed. The workshop walls displayed Earth tools next to Aratean tech, labeled in Luna's messy handwriting. "Dad's weird Earth stuff that sometimes works." Rima found him there that evening, her markings swirling nervous gold. "The medical scan confirmed it," she said. Taylor's hand stilled on the engine he was rebuilding. "And? Twins. 1 boy, 1 girl. The first natural pregnancy in 2 centuries. The first hybrid children. The first of something entirely new." "You're scared," he observed. "Terrified. What if I'm not a good mother?" Taylor pulled her close. "You will be. How do you know?" "Because you're scared. Good parents are always a little scared. Means you care." "That's illogical." "That's love." The Earth ship appeared at dawn, responding to Taylor's 3-year-old distress beacon. He stood in the garden, the old arena transformed into chaos and green, watching the rescue shuttle land, Luna's hand in his left, Rima's in his right. "Taylor Mitchell?" The captain emerged, looking bewildered at the scene. "We're here to rescue you." Taylor looked at his family, at the green women learning to be imperfect, at children playing in mud, at the 3 former Unity bodies trying to understand humor. "Thanks, but I'm already home." The captain surveyed the chaos. "You sure? Looks pretty alien." "The best things usually are. We could use an engineer on the return trip." "I'm good. But..." Taylor gestured to several Arateans. "Some of them want to see Earth. Cultural exchange. Green women who want to visit Earth. Command's gonna love this." As the Earth ship prepared to leave, carrying 5 curious Arateans and about 1,000 questions, Luna tugged Taylor's sleeve. "Dad, tell the story about the Earth monster called Monday again." "It's not a monster, Luna. It's just a day of the week. Sounds like a monster the way you describe it." Rima laughed, her markings dancing with joy. The sunrise painted the sky in impossible colors, purple-green like the day he crashed. Somewhere in the garden, children were failing spectacularly at hide-and-seek, forgetting to hide in their excitement. Dinner would be late, burnt, and perfect. The Arateans had learned the secret. They didn't need the Unity's perfection. They needed bedtime stories, bad jokes, and someone who loved them especially because they weren't perfect. They needed the beautiful mess of being human, even if only one of them actually was. The Unity's records, recovered years later, revealed the truth. Taylor's ship hadn't been randomly sabotaged. The Unity had been monitoring Earth, trying to understand human resilience. They'd orchestrated the crash, bringing together 2 dying civilizations. Their greatest miscalculation? Thinking they could control chaos. Sometimes the best fixes aren't planned. They're beautiful accidents that happen when broken people decide to be broken together. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's enough to save the world. Or 2.